Damon Fletcher squinted against the orange sun of Verdantia as he pressed his thumb against the digital contract pad. 8 years of hauling freight across 3 star systems had finally earned him enough credits for this moment. The land broker, a heavy-set human woman named Greta, smiled as the transaction completed with a soft chime. "Congratulations, Mr. Fletcher. You're now the proud owner of 40 acres of prime Verdantian riverfront property," she said, handing him a physical key card. "I have to warn you, though, this sector is pretty isolated. Most colonists prefer staying closer to New Haven." Damon pocketed the key with a satisfied grin. "That's exactly why I bought it. I've had enough of crowded cargo bays and noisy spaceports to last a lifetime." The property sprawled before him like something from an old Earth painting. Rolling grasslands dotted with clusters of purple flowering trees stretched toward distant blue mountains. A modest prefab dwelling sat near the northern boundary, its solar panels gleaming in the afternoon light. Nothing fancy, but it was his. All his. After Greta departed in her air car, Damon stood alone for the first time in what felt like forever. No ship captain's barking orders. No cargo manifest to verify. No recycled air or artificial gravity. Just natural wind carrying the scent of alien flowers and the distant sound of running water. He rolled his shoulders, feeling the tension of years slowly begin to unwind. His weather-beaten jacket hung loose on his frame after months of physical labor preparing for this purchase. Dark hair fell across his forehead as he surveyed his new domain with brown eyes that had seen too many worlds to count. "Time to see what I bought," he muttered, grabbing his surveying pack from a ground transport. A narrow trail wound from behind his dwelling toward the source of that water sound. According to property maps, a substantial river cut through the southern section of his land. Damon followed the path through groves of those purple trees, their sweet fragrance filling the air. The sound of water grew steadily louder, joined by something else. Voices, female voices, speaking a language he didn't recognize, but which somehow sounded like music. Curiosity pulled him forward. The trail opened suddenly into a wide clearing where the river ran clear and blue over smooth stones. Damon froze mid-step, his brain struggling to process what he was seeing. 3 women bathed in the shallows of the river, except they weren't human women. Their skin possessed an ethereal quality, pale blue with an inner luminescence that caught the sunlight like moonlight on water. Long hair the color of fresh snow cascaded down their backs, floating on the water surface. Their bodies moved with fluid grace, almost as if they were part of the river itself. Every instinct screamed at Damon to retreat. This was clearly a private moment he had no business witnessing. He took a careful step backward, but his boots scraped against loose gravel. The sound might as well have been a gunshot. 3 pairs of enormous silver eyes snapped toward him. Time seemed to freeze as they stared at each other. The closest woman sank deeper into the water with a small gasp. The middle one crossed her arms over her chest, her expression shifting from shock to something harder to read. The third simply watched him with an intensity that made Damon's mouth go dry. "I'm so sorry," Damon stammered, feeling heat flood his face. "I didn't know anyone was here. I just bought the property and was exploring. I'll leave right now." The third woman, the one still watching him calmly, tilted her head slightly. "You hold a property contract in your hand," she said in perfect standard, though her voice carried that same musical quality he'd heard before. Her eyes flicked to the document he'd forgotten he was still clutching. "Then you must be the new landowner. Welcome, neighbor." The absurdity of the situation struck Damon hard. Here he stood, mortified beyond words, while 3 naked alien women regarded him from a river on his own property with varying degrees of alarm and amusement. A nervous laugh escaped him despite his best efforts. "I'm Damon," he managed, forcing his eyes to stay locked on their faces. "Damon Fletcher. I apologize again for intruding." "The Holbrook dwelling," said the first woman, who had relaxed slightly though she remained mostly submerged. "It has been vacant for many months." "We are Aqualis," offered the second woman, her initial embarrassment seeming to fade. "I am Talia. These are my sisters Serena and Vessa. We assumed another Verdantian colonist would purchase the land," said Serena, the one who had first spoken. "Humans typically prefer the developed areas near the main settlement. Damon shifted his weight, acutely aware of how uncomfortable this whole situation was. I needed somewhere quiet. Space travel gets old after a while. All that noise and crowding. Vesa, who had been silent until now, spoke in a voice softer than her sister's. You should turn around now, human Damon, unless observing strangers undress is common practice in your culture. Right, yes, absolutely. Damon spun on his heel, so fast he nearly lost his balance. Again, I'm really sorry about this. Behind him, he heard gentle splashing and what might have been suppressed laughter. Despite the awkwardness, Damon found himself smiling. This was definitely not how he'd imagined meeting his new neighbors. These weren't just any neighbors either. They were beautiful, mysterious alien women who'd caused him in possibly the most embarrassing first impression of his entire life. As he walked back toward his dwelling, Damon couldn't help but think his quiet new life had just become significantly more complicated. The peaceful solitude he'd imagined might not be quite so peaceful after all. Something told him these three sisters would feature prominently in his future, though whether that was a good thing or a disaster waiting to happen remained to be seen. The orange sun dipped lower toward the horizon, casting long shadows across his new property. Damon paused at the top of the trail, looking back toward the river hidden beyond the purple trees. He could still hear faint voices carried on the wind, speaking in that musical language. Whatever tomorrow brought, life on Verdantia was already proving far more interesting than 8 years of hauling cargo through the void. The next morning, Damon stood in his small kitchen, staring at the wooden box on the counter. Inside sat 3 perfectly preserved earth oranges, imported at ridiculous expense from the agricultural station orbiting Verdantia. He'd spent half his remaining credits on them, but after yesterday's disaster of a first meeting, a peace offering seemed necessary. Just being neighborly, he told himself, running a hand through his hair. Nothing complicated about it. Yet as he approached the Aqualis dwelling, his confidence wavered. Their home was unlike anything he'd seen before. The structure seemed to flow rather than stand, with curved walls that reflected the river's movement. Parts of it extended over the water itself, with transparent sections in the floor revealing the current below. It was beautiful and utterly alien. Damon took a deep breath and knocked on what he hoped was the door. It slid open almost immediately, revealing Talia. Her silver eyes widened slightly, and a smile played at her lips. "Human Damon," she said, her voice carrying notes of amusement. "You returned quickly. Most would hide for weeks after such an encounter." "I wanted to apologize properly," Damon said, extending the wooden box. "Where I come from, bringing a gift to new neighbors is customary." Talia's gaze fixed on the box. Her pale blue skin seemed to shimmer more intensely as she reached for it with slender fingers. "You bring us a bonding offering," she said, her voice suddenly serious. Damon felt his stomach drop. "A what?" "No, these are just oranges. Fruit. For eating." "Surina, Vesa," Talia called over her shoulder, that smile returning. "Our neighbor has made a formal declaration." Before Damon could protest, the other 2 sisters appeared. Surina wore her white hair in an elaborate braid that wound around her shoulders. Vesa's hung loose, framing a face that now regarded him with curiosity rather than yesterday's shyness. Both wore flowing garments that seemed to shimmer like their skin. "A declaration so soon," Surina said, one elegant eyebrow raised. "You are bold, Damon Fletcher." "There's been a misunderstanding," Damon said quickly, feeling heat creep up his neck. "This is just a neighborly gift. Nothing more." The 3 sisters exchanged glances that contained entire conversations. Finally, Surina took the box from Talia's hands, opened it, and examined the oranges with careful attention. "Among our people," she explained gently, "presenting rare food in a crafted vessel is a traditional first step of bonding. It signifies the giver's willingness to share resources and establish connection." Damon felt like the ground had shifted beneath his feet. On Earth, we just bring food to welcome new neighbors. It's polite, not romantic. "Fascinating," Talia said, leaning closer to study his face. "Your skin changes color with your emotions. Does all of you change color, or only your face?" "It's called blushing," Damon managed. Most humans do it when embarrassed or uncomfortable. And we have made you uncomfortable, Vessa said, her soft voice carrying genuine concern. Please come inside. We should discuss our differences properly to avoid future confusion. The interior of their home matched its flowing exterior. Furniture seemed to grow organically from the floors. Light filtered through translucent ceiling panels, casting rippling patterns across every surface. Water sounds echoed softly throughout, creating an atmosphere of constant, gentle movement. Your home is incredible, Damon said, grateful for the topic change. Thank you, Cern replied, placing the box on a central table. We designed to honor our homeworld's architectural traditions. You're not from Verdantia originally? Damon asked, settling into a surprisingly comfortable curved seat. We are refugees, Vessa said quietly, her silver eyes reflecting old pain. Our world suffered environmental collapse. The oceans died first, then the rivers. Many Aqualis scatter across the known systems, seeking water-rich worlds. I'm sorry, Damon said, meaning it. That must have been terrible. It was generations ago, Serena said, bringing forward a pitcher of clear liquid that sparkled like starlight. We have made this world our home now. The river sustains us. As they shared the oranges, which the sisters declared absolutely delicious, and a beverage that tasted like honey mixed with cool spring water, the conversation flowed more naturally. Damon learned that Aqualis required daily immersion in fresh water to maintain their health, that their luminescent skin contained specialized cells that converted water into energy, that they found human physical diversity absolutely fascinating. Your species displays such variation, Talia observed, leaning forward with undisguised interest. Hair colors from gold to black, eyes of green, blue, brown, gray, skin tones spanning every shade, while we Aqualis appear nearly identical to outsiders. You're not identical, Damon said without thinking. Serena's eyes have flecks of darker blue. Talia's skin shimmers more when she's amused, and Vessa's hair catches light differently than her sister's. The room fell silent. All three sisters stared at him with expressions he couldn't quite read. You noticed these details yesterday, Serena said slowly. During our brief encounter, Damon felt his face burning again, much to the sisters' obvious delight. He does it again, Vessa whispered, though not quietly enough. The color change is quite beautiful. I should probably go, Damon said, standing abruptly. Thank you for clarifying the gift situation and not holding yesterday against me. Wait, Serena said, rising gracefully. Since you have inadvertently initiated bonding customs, protocol requires we reciprocate with our own gift. That's really not necessary. We insist, all three said simultaneously, their voices harmonized in a way that made Damon's chest tighten. They presented him with a small crystal vial containing luminescent blue liquid, water from our homeworld's last living spring. Serena explained, we carry small amounts to honor our ancestors. This will bring you dreams of flowing possibilities. The weight of the gift wasn't lost on Damon. They were sharing something precious, something irreplaceable. He accepted it carefully, cradling the vial in both hands. Thank you, he said, surprised by the emotion in his own voice. I'll treasure this. As he walked home, the vial warm against his palm, Damon realized something fundamental had shifted. The awkward encounter at the river had somehow led to this moment of genuine connection. These three alien women had welcomed him despite his clumsy intrusion, had shared their history and culture, had given him something of immeasurable personal value. That night, lying in his new bed in his new home, Damon placed a vial on the small table beside him. In the darkness, it glowed softly blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. As sleep claimed him, he dreamed of flowing water and silver eyes, of luminescent skin and musical voices, of three sisters who had somehow already changed everything. 3 weeks passed like water flowing downstream. Each evening after working his land, Damon found himself drawn to the river house. What had started as neighborly visits evolved into something deeper, more complex. The cultural exchanges became intimate conversations. Casual touches lingered. Glances held meaning that needed no translation. The sisters had begun teaching him their language, those musical syllables that sounded like water over stones. In return, Damon shared stories of his travels, of distant worlds, and strange customs encountered in cargo bays across 3 sectors. They laughed at his description of zero-gravity mishaps and listened intently to his tales of alien markets and stellar phenomena. But it was more than just talking. Serina's hand would rest on his shoulder as she corrected his pronunciation. Talia would lean close enough that he could smell the river scent that clung to her skin. Vessa, once so shy, now met his gaze directly, her silver eyes holding emotions he was only beginning to understand. The bonding misunderstanding had become a joke between them. Yet Damon couldn't deny the genuine attraction developing on all sides. The dreams brought by their ancestral water had grown more vivid, more intense. Pale blue skin against his own, silver eyes reflecting starlight, 3 voices harmonizing his name. This particular evening, Damon approached their home carrying a bottle of Centauri wine, another expensive import but worth it. The door opened before he could knock, revealing Serena. Her expression stopped him cold. The usual warmth was replaced by tension, her luminescent skin flickering like a candle in wind. "Damon," she said, her musical voice strained. "Perhaps tonight is not ideal for visiting." From inside, he heard raised voices. One male, unfamiliar, speaking their language with harsh authority. "Is everything all right?" Damon asked, instinctively straightening to his full height. Serena hesitated, conflict clear in her silver eyes. "We have an unexpected visitor from our homeworld colonies. The situation is complicated. I can leave if you need privacy." "No," she said quickly, taking his hand. Her skin was cool against his, sending familiar shivers up his arm. "Actually, your presence might help. Please, come in." The scene inside was tense enough to feel physical. A tall Aqualis male stood in the center of the room, his posture rigid with authority. Unlike the sister's delicate shimmer, his pale blue skin had a harder, almost metallic quality. His white hair was cropped military short, emphasizing sharp facial features. Cold silver eyes swept over Damon with immediate dismissal. Talia and Vessa sat together on a curved bench, their expressions carefully neutral, but their bodies pressed close in mutual support. The male turned fully toward Damon, his lip curling slightly. "And who is this?" he asked in perfect standard, though his accent was harsher than the sister's. "A human pet you keep for amusement." "This is Damon Fletcher, our neighbor and friend," Serena said firmly, moving to stand beside Damon. "Damon, this is Corvus, an enforcer from the Aqualis colony fleet." "Enforcer?" Damon repeated, not liking the sound of that title. "I ensure our people honor their commitments," Corvus said, his gaze returning to the sisters. "Which brings me to why I am here. 3 bonding contracts remain unfulfilled. 3 males wait on the colony ships for their promised partners." The words hit Damon like a physical blow. Bonding contracts. Promised partners. "We were children when those contracts were made," Talia said, her usual playfulness gone. "We never agreed to them." "Your parents agreed," Corvus countered coldly. "In Aqualis culture, family obligations supersede individual desires. You have had your time of freedom. Now you must return and fulfill your duties to our people." "We are not property to be traded," Vessa said, her soft voice carrying unexpected steel. "We have made lives here. We have claimed this river as our territory." Corvus's expression hardened. "You forget your place. Our species teeters on extinction. Every Aqualis has a duty to bond, to produce offspring, to ensure our survival. Your selfish desires endanger us all." "Sounds like they've made their choice pretty clear," Damon interjected, unable to stay silent. "Maybe you should respect that." Corvus turned his full attention to Damon, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "The human speaks. Tell me, do you understand what you interfere with? These 3 have obligations stretching back decades. Contracts sealed with family honor. I understand they're people, not breeding stock," Damon said, feeling anger rise in his chest. "And I understand they don't want to go with you. What you understand is irrelevant," Corvus said dismissively. "You are not Aqualis. You have no voice in our cultural matters." "He has a voice here," Serena said, moving closer to Damon. "This is his land, his territory. By Aqualis law, we reside here with his permission." Corvus's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You claim territorial bonding with this human? You would abase yourself so completely." "Careful how you finish that sentence," Damon warned, his voice dropping to a tone that had once quieted rowdy cargo crews. The room fell silent. Corvus studied Damon with new attention, reassessing. Then his gaze swept over the three sisters, noting how they had unconsciously moved closer to human, forming a united front. "I see," Corvus said slowly. "You have formed attachments here. How unfortunate." He straightened, his posture becoming formal. "I will return to the fleet and report this situation. The council will decide how to proceed. But know this, the contracts remain valid. Your family's honor remains at stake. This is not finished." He moved toward the door, then paused. "And you, human, do not mistake the sister's affection for something it cannot be. Aqualis bond in groups of 3 or more. It is our biology, our culture. Whatever you think is developing here, it can never be what your limited species understands as partnership." With that parting shot, Corvus departed. The door slid shut behind him, leaving heavy silence in his wake. "Is that true?" Damon asked quietly. "What he said about bonding in groups?" "Yes," Serena said, meeting his eyes directly. "We are not meant for singular partnerships. Our emotional and biological needs require multiple connections. It is why we are 3 sisters together, why we would never separate. And the contracts? Are those real?" "They exist," Talia admitted. "But they were made without our consent, arranged when we were children by parents desperate to preserve family status in the colony fleet." Vessa moved closer, her silver eyes searching his face. "Does this change how you see us? Does it disgust you what we are?" Damon looked at the 3 of them, these beautiful, strong, complicated beings who had somehow become central to his life in just a few short weeks. He thought about the dreams they had given him, the laughter they had shared, the connection that felt more real than anything he had known in years of traveling the stars. "No," he said simply. "It doesn't change anything. Except now I understand you better. You would stand with us?" Serena asked. "Against Corvus and the council? It could become dangerous." "This is my land," Damon said, surprised by the certainty in his own voice. "My territory. And you 3, you're under my protection now. Let the council come. Let them all come." The 3 sisters exchanged one of their wordless glances, and then they moved as one. Serena took his right hand, Talia his left, and Vessa placed her palm over his heart. Their skin glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with each other and with his own heartbeat. "Then we bond with you," Serena said formally, "not by contract or obligation, but by choice, by desire, by recognition of connection that transcends species and culture. We claim you as ours," Talia continued, her voice carrying that musical quality that now sounded like home, "as we hope you will claim us as yours. All 3 of us," Vessa finished softly, "together, always, if you are willing." Damon felt tears prick his eyes, though whether from joy or fear or overwhelming emotion, he couldn't say. He had come to Verdantia, seeking solitude, seeking peace after years of wandering. Instead, he had found 3 alien women who had turned his world upside down in the best possible way. "I'm willing," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "All 3 of you. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Their luminescence intensified, and in that moment, Damon understood what the ancestral water had been trying to show him. Not just dreams of what could be, but visions of what would be. 3 hearts beating as one. 3 souls finding completion in an unlikely bond across species and stars. Outside, the river flowed on beneath the orange sun of Verdantia. Somewhere above, Corvus was reporting back to the colony fleet, setting events in motion that would test everything they had just sworn to each other. Challenges lay ahead, dangers and complications neither Damon nor the sisters could fully anticipate. But in that moment, standing in the flowing home with 3 pairs of silver eyes reflecting his own face back at him, Damon Fletcher knew one thing with absolute certainty. He had finally found where he belonged. The end.